Hi everyone, thank you for joining another video. So let's get started with our quote of the day. It's going to be Daniel chapter 6 verse 22. My God sent his angel and he shut the mouths of the lions. They have not hurt me because I was found innocent in his sight. Alright, so that's our quote. And what we're covering today is going to be introduction to Powershell remoting. Alright, so let's get started. Okay, so in Powershell remoting, we're going to work out of our Powershell window. So I'm going to minimize this, and we're going to use. So we need to use the Powershell in admin mode. So how you do that is I'll just type PowerShell here, and I would right-click on the Windows PowerShell icon, choose Run as Administrator. So I got it open down here, but if you do that, it will open up this window here. So this is what we get. And so pretty much what you're doing is, so when we're doing PowerShell remoting, so it involves you have to enable the WinRM if you don't have it already enabled. So that WinRM means Windows Remote Management. So it has to be, so when you're doing PowerShell remoting, that has to be enabled when you communicate with other Windows machines. So the I call it like WinRM agents. I don't know if that's the correct name, but anyway, so you'll have to enable it on the machine you want to run the commands from, and the machines you want to run the command, the remote machine you want to run the command on. So they have to both be enabled. So let's so you could enable it. I think my one is already enabled, but I'll tell you the command. So the command is enable PS remoting, and so if you just type this dash PS remoting, okay, and then you just type force. That should that command should configure the WinRM, set the necessary firewall rules, and then it will start the WinRM service. Now, if you're not sure if you have the WinRM installed, or let me make this font a little bigger. So give me 1 second here. All right, hopefully that will be good enough. Well, maybe make it a little bigger. All right, so let's say you want to check to see if it's enabled or if it's running on your machine. The way how to do it is we will do get. So it'll be get that dash service dash name. Okay, and then we would put the win WinRM, and that would tell us if it runs or not. And obviously if it doesn't run, then you could run that enable dash PS remoting dash force, and that should enable. And don't forget, you have to do it under administrative Windows PowerShell window. Okay, so we got confirmed that ours is added in there. So the next step is you need to kind of set up the trusted hosts on each of the machines. So let's do that. Alright, so you would type, oops, it's none of those, sorry. Okay, so pretty much we got to set a value in our trusted hosts. So it'll be set dash item. Okay, and it'll be ws man : backslash, and then you're going to type localhost, and then inside localhost we're going to put client and then trusted hosts. Now what goes in trusted hosts? So that's the actual machine or machines that you want to add to this list. So you could keep. So what happens if you wanted to do a blanket statement for all hosts? You could do that. You could just okay, let's put value You could do that, but it's kind of like asterisk in the value area. So that's when you want to grant all machines. Or you could just put the actual machine, their IP address or the machine name, however you want to identify it by. So I'll put the IP address of the remote machine. Okay, and then you press enter. Okay, so as you can see here, the command modifies the trusted host list for the WinRM client. The computers in the trusted host list might not be authenticated. The client might send credential information to these computers. Are you sure you want to modify this list? And you would say yes, because you want to add this new client on your list. So, and now you could run the same commands on the other machine and to get it up to the same status, but now the difference is you're going to have to get the IP address of this machine and for it to go to the other side if you want to run commands from the other machine over here. So you could do that. So you just get the IP address from the other machine and you put it here. And you might be saying, how could I get the IP address? So the quickest way you could do it is to just type ipconfig. It'll give you a list of the IP version 6 or the version 4. But I could show you one way. If you just want to filter it quickly, you could do the getnet IP address. Okay, and then you choose address family and IPv4, and you gotta follow the case in exactly like this, and then you do select object, then expand property, and we do IP address. Okay, and this is what you get. And there you go. So this is our IP address here, and you can figure this one is our loopback address. This is just if you wanted to test locally on your same machine that you're on. That's like the loopback address, so you don't use that one. So we're going to use this 192 number. And you do that on the other machine if you need to get the IP address of the other machine. So you'll take this IP address and put it on the other machine if you want to communicate back and forth. Oh, and I forgot to mention, when you're doing the trusted host, when you do the value, you could also separate the value. Let me show you here. So you could do like comma and then another IP address, like 192.16 and so on, and then you do another comma if you need to add multiple IP addresses that way, if you want to do it in one shot. So I was just showing you that in case you had multiple IP addresses you wanted to add, or multiple computer names. Okay, and then you do this is optional. Configuring the trusted host is optional. That's if you're not in a domain. So I'm not in a domain, so that's why I'll do it this way. So if you're in a domain, you don't need to do that. Okay, so let's move on to our next step. So the next step will be, we need to set up maybe authentication. So if your machine is a part of a domain, like Powershell remoting will use the Kerberos authentication, and no additional setup is needed for those credentials. However, if they aren't, meaning that it's not part of a domain, you need to explicitly provide the credentials. So that's what we'll have to do here. So you can do the credential by assign it to a variable here, say cred, and then we will do get credential. So what get credential does, it will allow you to authenticate interactively, meaning that once I hit enter here, it'll come with a pop-up allowing you to put in your username and password. So let's do that. Okay. Okay, so we put in our username and password, and then now we could go ahead and test the remote. So how do you do the testing? It'll be test dash ws man dash computer name oops, I forgot with a capital N. Okay, and then we'll put the machine B's IP address. Okay, so couldn't remember if I needed to put quotes in here, but let's try it out. Okay, so the other machine I had to reboot it because it was giving some problems. So let's continue off here. So I set the credentials like how we did in the last video, and then we're going to do the test ws man then dash computer name, and I believe it's 1, 2. Alright, so this is what we got back. So this should tell us that it got communication. It gives us the ID and everything there. Okay, so I think that's it for today. So I was just showing you how to kind of set up your PS remoting. So the results may vary depending on if you have your firewalls enabled and so on. So we'll cover the PS remoting command, enabling remoting with the enabling PS remoting command in the next video. So just don't worry about that right now. And alright, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, so let's close off with our quote of the day. It's going to be Daniel chapter 6 verse 22. My God sent his angel, and he shut the mouth of the lions. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent in his sight. Alright, so don't forget to read your Bible, and if you're not going to church, try to find a good Bible-based church, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.